Happy National Fudge Day to all of you out there in Vol Nation listening around. This is the House of Orange. Frank coming at you. Looks like it's going to be a busy one today in Tennessee athletics. The big one, of course, with Tennessee baseball a little bit earlier was Dylan Loy has decided to enter the transfer portal. While I was uploading that, it comes out that Tennessee has their first commit from the 2027 class for football. And it's a name that we know well, and we know the legacy here as well. JP Peace out of Knoxville. He is in the fold. He plays at Knox West High School. Of course, his dad is Robert Peace, and his granddad is, of course, one Philip Fulmer as well. So Sunday was the first day coaches could start recruiting. Reaching out to 2027 is the way that I've read it. This one didn't take long. And Peace, there's some pretty interesting quotes from him in the article on volquest.com. Now, I'm not sure who broke this, if it's Matt Ray, Austin Price, or whom on it. But some of the quotes on this, his defensive coordinator at Knox West, Barron Chandler is his name, said he's tremendously hard worker, does everything in the weight room. He runs track, doing everything to get faster, switch positions from outside linebacker to inside linebacker. Well, if that sounds familiar, his dad was an inside linebacker at Tennessee as well. Says he spends a lot of times with the coaches and just trying to learn the position. And, of course, his dad playing there, that helps a lot. Of course, his granddad, his legacy is really, say what you want about Fulmer and some of the things, but he's got one of the greatest legacies in Tennessee history as far as his name being synonymous with Tennessee football. But something that's big in this one is who a couple guys he's friends with and he knows well on it. And this 2027 class is going to be interesting because a couple of those guys, and you're going to know these names, and I've talked about them on here. Cooper Witten is one. He knows him. And Kenny Simon, the son of Kevin Simon, as well. That's three legacies for 2027 that Tennessee's in on. They've offered them all. Cooper Witten, of course, is going to be the main one of the three, at least in terms of rankings-wise right now. But Kenny Simon or Kenneth Simon, whichever piece referred to him as Kenny Simon. But all three of those guys, and we've seen these legacy classes before. We go back to really the last one. I'm not saying this was the last legacy, but Butch Jones had a number of legacies that he brought in during his time. I mean, I'm thinking back to the Berry twins, Dylan Bates, Todd Kelly Jr. That was just to name a few off top. Khalil McKenzie on it. He had a lot of them, and, there was mixed success there. But, everybody's always a fan of the legacy, getting them, especially and we've had, legacies go elsewhere too. They don't necessarily all follow where their fathers played at. But this is a good start for 2027 for Tennessee. Again, we know the bloodlines. We know that this dude, his family, they bleed orange. We know that for a fact. Again, say what you want about Fulmer and, how especially his AD tenure ended, his coaching tenure, but it was not because, the dude, he bleeds orange. There's no doubt. 2027 piece, he's listed right now, 6'3", 210. The only ranking I'm seeing for him is on On3. They've got him ranked as a 3-star. They're giving him a numerical grade 88. He's ranked as the 27th linebacker. He's ranked 13th overall in Tennessee. Now, that's got plenty of time to change, especially as you start getting into some of these camps, these circuits, these events where, you get a lot of your scouts at as well. So, first commitment of the 2027 class. Of course, Tennessee had it seemed like a pretty good weekend this weekend as far as just their recruiting visits. Now, none of it really let's face the facts. So none of it means anything until you get them in the fold. And, I get it. People are impatient right now with it. I guess why I'm not. One, I've followed recruiting, and probably a lot of you guys have as well. I've followed it for over 20 years closely since first getting a VolQuest membership back in 2003. And I remember when I got it, it was the weekend after Eric Ainge and Chase Patton. Patton ended up going to Missouri, but they had visited Tennessee. Of course, Ainge, we know, played at Tennessee, was a good quarterback for Tennessee as well. But really, since then, I've always followed recruiting pretty closely, and especially it's gotten, for lack of a better term, it's gotten more and more quirky over the years. You've always had these decommits. You've always had these guys that are committing. They're, yeah, I'm committed, but I'm going to take my visits. So, I mean, and a lot of you are familiar with this at this point, but now the calendar's changed a lot to where we used to never see the official visits in the summer. Now this is your key months with it. Tennessee, the last 2 weekends have had big visit weekends. They've got 2 more planned the end of the month before you get into the dead period. And really, I would venture to say, and there may be some guys that haven't, but all of their main targets should be in town this month. Now, will there be more that pop up later on? Yeah, I mean, looking back last year, there were guys who come in later in the cycle. I look back on it just for comparison's sake, and I want to go back to that 2025 class with it. And the point I'm trying to make here is you may not get them all in at that time. Like Isaiah Campbell, he did not visit until late. He decommitted from Clemson. Tennessee got in, get him. He's going to be a big part of this team moving forward. You had a guy like Deson Breen, who had committed to Oregon. Tennessee flipped him later on as well. I mean, your guys like Sanders, Marion Dye, Travis Smith, Christian Gass. Of course, George McIntyre was in the fold for a while. Nick Moore, Tennessee, he was going to commit to West Virginia. Got him to hold off on the visit. He visited Tennessee. Tennessee knocked it out of the park, got him in the fold. Jaden Harmon was a guy committed to Alabama. Tennessee got him in, flipped him last year. Looks like a big-time commitment. And then you got guys like Ethan Utley, Ladarius Jackson, Jaden Lofton, some of these guys, Van Dorselaer, Trey Poteet's one of those who, if I'm not mistaken, he was a Wisconsin legacy, and he chose Tennessee on. Jaden Perlotti's one Tennessee flipped. On early signing day. DeJuan Morris was another one Tennessee flipped. Didn't get him to campus till late in the cycle. So, but most of your dudes are visiting in June. Most of them, I say. But then you get those guys like a Timothy Merritt as well, who flipped from Miami last year also. The class is going to be fluid. You look at it for 2026. Right now, you have 10 in the fold. You have some pretty high caliber commits in. Yeah, there's some 3 stars, but especially if these roster limits going to 105, you're going to have them, and you can take a little bit more risk on these guys right now. But Peace getting in the fold 2027 is a big start in the fact that he's got the ear of Cooper Witten. He's got the ear of Kenny Simon, among others. And, of course, Tennessee will continue to build from there. Again, I'm not speaking of 2026. If we start missing on guys, if we start being the bridesmaid, that's when I'll start getting concerned a little bit on it. But right now, this class is still being built. And 2, all that matters is December. That's the main thing that's going to matter. June, great if you're up there. I mean, USC's ranked number 1 with like 28 commits right now. That good for them. All right, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. But it is a big year because the question's being, can this staff close? You've got the possibility of closing on some elite guys if you can close them, or getting some elite guys if you can close them. Keep you updated on anything else along the way. Again, I know there's people that don't really follow baseball, they follow football, maybe vice versa along the way. But I'll link some stuff at the end of the video. Make sure you hit the like, the share, the subscribe. Links in the description, channel membership, channel Patreon, as low as $1 a month, or super thanks. Greatly appreciated. But this is Frank, House of Orange. I'll see you when I see you.